All right, folks, another edition of The Big Picture here at Africa Uncensored. Big conversations, interesting guests, lots of context, stepping back from the daily grind, starting to help you understand how you can make it and the things that make sense to you.
Food is all about culture. Most of our food, it really lacks in terms of seasoning. Colonialism sort of influenced a lot of our diet. Somewhere along the way, our culture was kind of eroded, and that's what influence now our generation, how we perceive food and how we prepare food. If we are able to go back and start preparing food, let's say how our grandmas and grandparents used to do it, I believe we still can rekindle that bit of food. And that's why once in a while I try and do a bit of traditional dishes here and there. Actually nowadays you find more and more kids being born with severe rickets and stuff like that. The biggest blame lies on the government. They need to come up with programs that educate and sensitize the citizens on nutrition. We take it for granted that people know how to eat. Investing in your food is investment in yourself, and for me now that I'm cooking now and posting my videos, it's also investing in my craft.
John-Allan Namu. I am joined in studio by perhaps the most famous chef on TikTok, at least in Africa. A man who's made he's got a huge following from saying one word. It's a 4-letter word, and it's not the one that you think. Done. Mr. Dennis Ombachi. Pleasure to have you in studio.
Pleasure.
Thanks a lot for coming in. And of course, we've got Tracy Bonareri here on the fact checks today. Tracy, mambo.
Yes.
Are there any fact checks about food?
Yes. Today it's food, coffins, and TikTok.
Foods, coffins, and TikTok.
A very weird combination, I know, yes.
All right. So that one I can't wait to see. So Dennis, what we do on the show is, over and above discussing with our guests the various things that they're experts in, we try and build our audience's knowledge of how to fact check and debunk misinformation, because it's like a very, very big thing. I'm sure you've experienced the same. Actually, let's start there. What's the weirdest thing that you've ever heard about yourself online? Or ever read about?
The weirdest thing I've read about myself. Probably people thinking I'm rich.
Oh, really?
Yeah, maybe they think that the lifestyle that I own, not even from the lifestyle, from the foods that I'm cooking, that I'm rich. I'm like, these are just, normal foods, just prepared in a different way. So that makes me look a bit well off. But it's just regular food,
But you know what? I can forgive some of those guys, because when you're looking at those things that you cook, Dennis, honestly, and if it's in the middle of the month, umekunywa maji, you've drank water to try and stave off the hunger, and then now you go on to Dennis's TikTok and you're seeing, I don't know, chicken, spatchcock, the chicken done, I don't know, julienne, the onions.
That's why they say don't believe everything you see on social media. Because I will say, okay, I'll plan my shoot around for that week, or maybe 2 shoots on that week. I'll make sure I do 2 good dishes. But in and around at the house, most of the time we eat normally. Like me personally, I'm a huge fan of instant noodles. Like I eat instant noodles more than 4 times a week. And
really?
People don't know that.
That's very interesting.
And of course, I can't be cooking noodles for you on the gram. No one will watch those videos. So I also
might be surprised. You might be surprised. Let me tell you why. Because I remember even commenting on one of the recipes you prepared for us, the kamande one. And I was like, you know what? I hate kamande, but it's at home all that. That's what we eat like on a daily basis, right? Or on a daily to weekly basis. And I've never quite seen it prepared that way. What one of these more relatable foods, or not, I don't say relatable, but everyday foods have
survival foods.
Yeah, survival foods. Have you ever prepared and guys responded to online?
Omena. Lots of dishes. Matumbo. Because everything is how you you prepare it.
Yeah.
It's the techniques. Because food is all about culture.
Yeah.
So we have our own culture, we'll say, in East Africa in general. How we prepare our foods, it's good, but how I choose to approach food for me is all about combining cultures. Because even my partner is Korean, Russian, so my food is mainly influenced with the Asian culture and African culture. So when you try to combine the two, and then I try to reach a middle ground. So that's why combining the flavors, ingredients and stuff, you sort of come up with new dishes. So everything is how you prepare it. I try and prepare, like, we rarely eat the same thing twice. Like, we can eat chicken every day of the week, but we'll never eat the same chicken every day of the week. I'm always trying to experiment with new recipes and ideas.
That's interesting. And I want to ask a fairly controversial question. I don't know if it's controversial really, and maybe it's been decided, right? So every African from outside of Kenya that I've met is like, oh, you guys have got a wonderful country, but your food is terrible. What are your views?
It's not controversial. If you travel a lot, of course, if you just confine within our borders, which is totally okay, you'll get used to the food, and for you you'll see that, okay, this is how we do things, and this is the only way things are supposed to be done. But the more you travel to other cultures, other countries, you'll see people doing things a lot differently, and how us, especially Kenyans, how we cook our food, apart from the coast region, and kudos to the coast region, like they've put our food up on the map, kiasi. But most of our food, it really lacks in terms of seasoning. Like, we do prepare our foods in even the ones I've done, most of the Kenyan foods I've done on my videos, like, most of our foods, we cook them, it's onions, tomatoes, you go garlic, ginger, you're good. You throw in there some beef cubes, chicken cubes, a bit of roiko inside there. So we are kind of limited in the scope of our ingredients and techniques, because if it's roasting meat, how it's done here, it's probably it's the same way it will be done in my hometown in Kisii. The Maasais will be doing it that way.
The same way.
Yeah, but I've traveled a lot. I've been privileged to travel a lot. Like, if you travel to a country like, let's say, Asia, like, they have different cultures. They do things very differently. Like, barbecue in Japan, their yakitori, barbecue in the Philippines, the Thai, it's totally different. Also, I think it's where we are located geographically, apart from the coast again. So most of the things we eat, it's beef, goat meat. So we kind of lack in variety. Yeah. Like, even the starches we are kind of used to right now mainly is ugali, which is just corn, which is also imported. I think also the colonialism sort of influenced a lot of our diet. Yeah. Because they are the ones who brought these potatoes. I don't think these things were indigenous. Were the Irish potatoes, maize meal, to sort of just feed the population so that they can work on the plantations well. Yeah. So I don't know how it was back then, but I'm sure back then, because how my grandma, I remember growing up, the things my grandma used to cook, the type of vegetables she used to prepare, the food was prepared simply, but it tasted a bit different. Yeah. And in all the cultures, it tasted a bit different. But since the white man came, our food has sort of become uniform. You go to central Kenya, you'll eat. You'll go to Kisii, you'll eat beef and ugali. They kind of started tasting the same. So I think where we lost it is at somewhere along the way, our culture was kind of eroded, and that's what influenced now our generation, how we perceive food and how we prepare food. I think it's through the eroding of culture. If we are able to go back and start preparing food, let's say how our grandmas and grandparents used to do it, I believe we still can rekindle that bit of spirit. And that's why once in a while I try and do a bit of traditional dishes here and there.
That's interesting. And you said your wife is Korean Russian, right?
Yeah, Russian.
I watched a like a documentary about meat in Korea specifically, and how important it is how they what do you call it, how the butchers, you know, sort of like cut different cuts of meat,
the cuts, how you cut the meat,
how
the
they
techniques,
prepare it, how they store it, and the culture going back thousands of years.
Yeah.
Now, granted, we've become fairly bland in our, you know, in our palates here in Kenya.
Yeah.
What do you think your contribution beyond the videos can be in terms of now just, you know, almost like lighting a new fire around Kenyan cuisine, if such a thing exists, and making it now something that people look forward to coming to Kenya to taste?
One thing I've always wanted, of course, I have a dream of opening a restaurant sometime, not per se a traditional food kind of restaurant, but I've always wanted to be able to traverse the country and taste the indigenous foods where the knowledge still exists. I don't want to go to be served rice and beans. It goes back to what I was saying, like food now tastes the same everywhere. Everyone now cooks rice and beans. It's the same. Githeri, as much as we think as Githeri a local food, maize is not something we used to have. It's something that was brought by the white man. So I would like to really go to these regions where food is still being prepared like it was prepared back in the days, using the local ingredients, like some of the traditional veggies that have disappeared from the map. Like I remember growing up, my mom was some sort of a medicine woman. We used to go to the forest, get these different herbs and roast some of them, make into powders. The powders, we used to mix it with sorghum milk, and it used to, or you just mix it with water and drink it, and it used to taste more like the Japanese green tea. It was a bit healthy. She used to grow fermented mushrooms in a container, and we used to drink it. It used to clear up the gut. As in, there's lots of knowledge that is lost that I would like to get the opportunity to sort of revive and bring it out and show it out to the world, but firstly to Kenyans before we kind of export it, just to show them that this is how we used to live, this is how we used to eat, and perhaps if we go back, we can solve many of the food insecurity issues we kind of have right now. Because right now in Kenya, we're probably just focusing on monoculture, like maize, wheat, beans. Those are the three kind of main, I would say, subsistence farming that you go into every household, everyone is planting.
That's so interesting, Dennis, that you'd be interested in looking at your contribution in that way, because that's a very macro issue, right?
Yeah, it's a very macro issue.
One macro issue that people are facing now across the world, but here in Kenya, is a cost of living crisis, right? So 48 to 52% of what every Kenyan spends on, or the average Kenyan spends on, is food, right? And people are going from having 3 meals a day to 2 meals a day, some 1 meal a day, some 1 meal every 2 days. This is a tough question to ask you, because you're also now sort of like on your journey of deepening your knowledge of food, etc. But and it's a bit of a stopgap and an unfair sort of like situation that we're in. But for those people who are at 1 meal a day, or 1 meal every 2 days, and the basics that they have will probably be something around porridge, maize.
Not really nutritious.
Nothing nutritious. Is there anything that you remember from like your childhood growing up that can be grown fairly easily, fairly cheaply, even in urban areas, that can just help, sort of like improve nutrition? Because malnutrition in urban areas specifically is very, not many people speak about it.
Not many people report about it, because we only hear about malnutrition in the
in areas that are arid and
semi-arid areas, but lots of malnutrition happening in. Actually, nowadays you find more and more kids being born with severe rickets and stuff like that, which is sad. And this thing, I don't know a way around it. First of all, I think the biggest blame lies on the government. They need to come up with programs that educate and sensitize the citizens on nutrition, because we take it for granted that people know how to eat. Let's say if a the reason why I'm saying it's more of a socioeconomic issue, if I have 20 shillings, that means I'm from the lower income earning sector of the economy. So if I have 20 shillings and I would say 2 kids, so me and 2 kids, and I need to feed the kids, and I have to choose between buying ugali or making porridge for 20 shillings that will be able to satisfy us, I would say just fill our stomachs, not nutritionally, or choose that to, let's say, buy 20 shillings, can't even buy me, I will say, a fruit that will satisfy me. I'll go with
with a low nutritional option,
So that's why I'm saying that most of these nutritional problems, they are better off solved by the government, because as much as we want to tell people that try and eat healthy, there are lots of things, of course, that need or should be done, like introducing nutrition in the curriculum, because it's something we take for granted. Not many people know how to eat good. But most of these issues need to be solved by the government, because as much as I said, my wife is also half Korean, so her grandma, there was a time she used to stay in Korea, so, and when they are old as well, the government, looks after their nutrition. Like they have regular checkups from certified doctors and nutritionists, and they have like meals specifically tailored for them, delivered on their doorsteps every other week. So most of these things, I think, will need to be solved by the governments, and especially now that the government is sort of devolved. Every county has its own issues. Like this county, you might find they have plenty of, let's say, animal proteins, but lack in certain other nutrition. A different country, you'll find they are blessed, there are plenty of grains and other stuff, but lack in vegetables. So it's all about how these counties can work together, the county governments work together with the local communities, and see how these issue can be tackled, because I'm sure there are also lots of lives lost through nutrition, because if you don't eat well, if you're not you don't get enough nutrients in your body, your immune system won't be as strong as it's supposed to be.
That's true.
So you catch diseases, like if I'm not that well nutritionally, if I catch, let's say, something like TB, TB will
take you out.
Take me out much faster than if I was a healthy, strong person. You catch stuff like malaria. So nutrition affects every other aspect of life. It will affect your concentration at work, and at the end of the day affect your output, and at the end of the day affect the economy of the country. So it's something we take for granted, but if you look at the bigger picture, it's something that should not be taken for granted.
That's true. It is such a big picture issue to start thinking about just those small things. And one of the criticisms that many who look at this country in various sectors level on our country is we don't look at the small things. We were focused on very broad, very easy and perhaps lazy solutions.
Generic solutions.
To be able to, to fix certain things. And it wasn't always this way. You mentioned growing up and the kind of knowledge that you were able to get from your mother and your grandmother. That's something that for someone who perhaps grew up in a city is not really the experience that they had. Tell me about one experience that you remember, that you cherish, either around food or health, that was very instrumental in now, turning you into the roaming chef.
Growing up, because I am not a city boy. I was born in Nandi Hills, so I was raised in Nandi Hills. My dad was a tea plantation worker. My mom was a teacher in Nandi Hills over there, and most of my childhood I spent in Nandi Hills or either in Kisii with my grandma. And I think some of the memories I have of my grandma, because also growing up was a bit of a sickly child. I had lots of these skin diseases and stuff. My immune system was not strong. I had lots of allergies. I was allergic to sukuma wiki, oranges. I was always sick, in and out of hospital. So my mom took me to my grandma. I remember we used to go to the forest, search different herbs, close to 30. I can't remember a few, but that knowledge is, my mom, I know she still can grasp a few, but for me, that knowledge is lost on me. We used to come back with lots and lots of herbs. Some will be dried, ground down to a paste. We used to mix it with sorghum porridge and then take it. I remember the memory I have of my grandma is when I was a kid, she had this huge pot. And I had been taken to hospital to treat my skin diseases and stuff. So I was being given lots of medication. And my mom was not that comfortable with me at my young age taking that so much medication.
Yeah.
So she took me to my grandma. My grandma, we went to the forest actually together. We gathered a few herbs, leaves here and there, some roots, tubers, put them inside a pot. I don't know how she did. There's a way she made them. She put the pot on fire for a few, so the leaves were a bit smoky. Put me inside the pot, covered me with, actually, first of all, applied cow dung all over my body. But mainly,
like from the neck down?
Yeah, from the neck down. Okay. Put me inside the pot and then covered it with a blanket. It was a bit uncomfortable. I was crying when I was a kid. I didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
So we did it for, I think, a few times in a week. And since then, my skin has been okay. And then she also used to grow mushrooms, fermented mushrooms. I don't know how she used to do it. There's a way she used to put some liquid inside a 20-liter container. And then there was a huge mushroom inside there growing. And the liquid, we used to drink the liquid, so she told me this was for allergies and cleansing your gut and boosting your immune system. I don't know whether you've had something. It tastes something close to kombucha. Yeah, it tastes something close to kombucha, and I used to like it, but she just used to tell us, don't take too much of it, otherwise you'll get dry.
Exactly like kombucha, right?
Yeah, it was just exactly like kombucha. And yeah, so those are the kind of knowledge and skills that now I believe we are losing it, and that was only my grandma. And my grandma, she was not, I would say, a medicine woman. That's just, it was general knowledge for them. Like women of her age around the village were doing the same thing. Yeah. So and those are the things we've lost. So that was only the medicine part of it. There's also the food part of it, like how she used to prepare food. She used to cook chicken. There was some, apart from onions and tomatoes, there were some herbs. They were a bit bitter. Some of them was some savory. There was also some traditional mushrooms that when it used to rain, we used to call them mandegere. They are small mushrooms that used to grow. So we used to add them in the chicken. She was like, okay, these will help with your bones and stuff. So back then they were nutritionally vast. They knew what to eat and how to eat with the available resources.
And seasonally as well.
And it was seasonally, yeah. So I think that is and the knowledge we've lost, and I would love to be able to trace back the roots and probably chance be document some of these things that were still there. Because I wish back then, like, I wish I knew my grandma was not going to be there forever. And of course, back then we didn't have phones. I wish I had the opportunity to document some of these things, and so that I can also show my kids. Because for me right now, the knowledge that I can only pass to my kids is only the bits that are left, like how to prepare traditional foods, which for us now has become ugali, sukuma, managu. Not really, and I'll pass it to them. I'm sure, I don't know whether they'll take it up. Some of it will also get washed out, and that's why I'm trying to document some of these things in video so that I can be there in perpetuity.
Yeah, one of the earlier videos that you did, I recall, was you cooking in the forest. I remember you had hiked somewhere and you sat down.
I used to love it. I still love it.
You still love doing that, right?
Yeah.
That side of you, now that we're seeing you mostly on your balcony and that sort of thing, is there a part of you that you'd also want, sort of like the world to see from what seems to have also come from a very deep place in your childhood of just going out into the field and that sort of thing.
Yeah, that side of me, I love hiking. I think a lot has changed in my life since I had kids. They've sort of grounded me, but me in my natural element, I love being in nature because that's how I grew up. We used to go hunting for rabbits. Are they rabbits or the ones in the wild? They're called hares. Yeah. So we used to hunt for them, skin them while in the forest, you know, over an open fire, roast them. We used to go fishing in the river, just besides the river, wrap them in some, I don't know the name of the leaves. We used to wrap them in leaves, put them inside the mud, sort of roast them, eat them, and then go back home. And yeah, I think that was also some sort of supplemental nutrition because when you go home now, you get the food that's home. You also eat. So yeah, so that was part of my childhood and it defined who I grew up to be as a man. That's why I like being close to nature. I like working. Apart from the cooking and stuff, like going forward, I would love to work something to do that helps the environment because I'm really passionate, and this is something that people really don't know. I'm really passionate about the environment. You know, nowadays mostly issues dealing with pollution, stuffs, and then some. And pollution does not necessarily mean the CO2s from industries and cars. We have pollution, I would say local grown pollution, you know, like cooking from firewood, like how my grandma used to do. Like there was a research that was saying that in Kenya, close to, I don't know if it's in Kenya or around Africa, close to 3 million people die each year from complications related to pollution that comes from cooking with firewood. Yeah. So stuff like that, if I could be a part of someone who's trying to find a solution to small issues like that make in the bigger picture, they kind of
that have a big impact. It's not even firewood and charcoal these days. It's also plastics, you know,
and plastics
that people are finding anything that they can sort of set a fire to.
Exactly, and then we inhale those carcinogenic smokes.
True.
So that's something that I'm passionate about. That, and I'm in touch now with a couple of NGOs. I believe there's what was the name of this one? There's an NGO called Hongera. Like they're focusing now on giving people in the rural areas like these jikos that use firewood but produce less of the smoke and they are more efficient. So these are the kind of projects I'm passionate about. Apart from my cooking and my commercializing of cooking, like for me, giving back to the society is something like that because I really love giving back to the people who are. I don't really like calling them disadvantaged. They just don't have access to opportunities.
The right kind of opportunity. Which brings me very nicely into my next question about one particular video that went across the world. I watched it and I was really touched. It started like every other video where you would cook and that sort of thing, and then you went and started packing the food, and at the end of the day, you were handing it out to people who are living on the street. Beyond your passion, right? Is there anything that connected with you that drove you to do that video? Anything from your past or anything that you just felt?
That video has a long backstory. People just see the cooking and me giving out food to the street kids. It's something I used to do, you know, me and my friends, but most of the time alone. Like once in a while, I give it to the kids on the streets. And it comes from like when I was in high school. I was in Kisii High School. I was bullied a lot while I was in high school. So there was a time I was like, I've had enough. Let me run away from school. So I ran away from school, and then, you know, African family, I was like, I also don't want to go home. Like, I'm fed up. I want to live life on my own. So I was in Kisii. I had 500 shillings. 400 shillings, I think, it was around 350. Was my transport from Kisii to Nairobi. So I came to Nairobi, ate the money that was left over the first day. I was already broke. Oh. So I was, and I lived in the streets of Nairobi for 7 to 8 days before they actually sent a search party to find me. So at some point in my life, I was a street kid. So, and I made lots of good friends in the streets. Like we used to survive, and it was pretty cold because it was around July, August, somewhere there. Yeah. It was pretty cold. So like at night, we used to go like these buses that come from up country, like when the exhaust is still running, you just go chill next to it for like 30 minutes to an hour, and then it keeps you warm. When it's time to eat, there were lorries that were coming from Tanzania. They used to park in Marikiti somewhere, so used to go sleep under there, and then in the middle of the night when the drivers are all asleep, you jump up, open the canvas, steal a few fruits. Yeah, and that's how we used to survive, until a friend of mine who was a street kid who told me, most of us who are here, we actually don't have families. You have a family. I was like, yeah, but you know, I'm already too deep into this. This is day 8. I don't know how to call or what to say once I call. Like, I also want to go home. This life is tough. Yeah. This life is tough because we used to go shower in Nairobi River, not even shower, just wash our feet and stuff. So he was like, just give me a contact of someone I can reach, or just give me your dad's number. So I gave him my dad's number. I was like, I don't have money. That time, we still had these...
the coin boxes.
The coin boxes. So I went to the coin box, called my dad. I don't know what they discussed. They were there for a while. Actually, he didn't call. He called, and then the 5 shillings was over, and then my dad called back. So they talked for quite some times, and then he came back. He told me, okay, I've told your dad. I asked him, what did he say? He said, you need to go home. And then I was like, I want to go home, but I don't want to go home. You know, there's also that fear coming from an African family. You know your dad is going to deal with you ruthlessly. I was like, let us just wait it off for a while. But my dad had sent a search party now in Nairobi. So there's this one time now we had gone, the sun was up, so we had gone now to Nairobi River, sort of just chill, wash our face, our hands a bit. And then as we were going down there, I saw my uncle coming up. I wanted to run, but I was already tired. I was like, just save me, take me home. So he immediately took me to some chips and chicken joint. I had food, for a proper meal in a long time. Went home, had a long shower, and then my dad sort of took me back to school. And so from that day onwards, I have a soft spot for homeless people, and especially street children, because I made lots of friends. Like I even forgotten the entire 8 days I was there. I never knew his name. He never knew my name.
Wow.
But we sort of just connected together. We were like a band of brothers, and yeah, I'm glad I survived.
And that experience, I mean, must have informed. It showed in the video. Yeah. Because I mean, I watch a lot of your videos as well, and interesting as they are, I always enjoy a video that has a story. Yeah. And I always wondered about, okay, so what would drive you to do that? And I'm glad that you've answered the question, and that's a very
surprisingly,
interesting.
that's the video. Yeah. That my first video that actually went viral. Yeah. I never expected it to go viral because it's something I was doing, and then I was like, okay, this time I have time. Yeah. Let me record everything. So I recorded, I posted, and then I was off social media for like 2 days. Yeah. Someone who actually called me that, you're going viral. So I just kept seeing my phone was busy buzzing. I was like, okay, these are the regular notifications. I opened it on Twitter, I was like 1.2 million views. In 2 days, I'm like, what? You guys, the previous videos I post here, you give me 8,000 views after 1 month. I go on Twitter, I see it's 800,000. I go on Instagram, 700,000. I'm like, wow, this is something special. Like, and actually, and then under the video, there were people now trying to ask, what can we do to help? And then I'm like, guys, I don't have a foundation. It's not like, I had a chance to rip people off. I would have opened a PayPal account. But then my mentor Africa Yange runs a foundation that mentors, kids from underprivileged areas, the good Kenyan.
Yeah.
So I just threw that link over there, and then people are just sending contributions over there. So it was all I managed to kill two birds with one stone, and it actually made me feel good as a human being.
It does feel good to do something for someone else, and I think there's this book, I forget the title, but the theme behind the book is that it's The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek, right? So the theme behind that is that when, even as an athlete, for instance, you're training for the Olympics, you do it for yourself. After that, there's a bit of emptiness that you feel, right? A lot, right? So you felt that as well.
Once the lights are out,
it's done.
You feel like there's nothing to live for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the infinite game is that game that you play when you're playing for others. Yeah. And I think that for me is what kind of shone through in that video, that sense of fulfillment that you seem to have got just from doing that alone. Yeah. And that was it was a brilliant video, and one of, in my view, one of the best that you've done. Now, but
even for me, I usually tell people that if you want to experience true happiness, it's not the happiness you'll experience, it's the happiness your actions will show on someone else's face. That is true happiness.
That's true. I mean, that was incredible, that video. I want to talk a little bit about now the everyday stuff, right, that you do. And I want to come at it first from a budgetary point of view, before we get now into the light stuff, right? So you said that you plan your shoots, and do maybe like 1 or 2 in a week for you to be able to like stretch your, to stretch the ingredients and stuff. But you cook with like really good, very high quality ingredients.
Yeah, high quality ingredients, high quality food.
High quality, and it shows on video.
Yeah.
How about the bill? Now that things have gone up so dramatically. I mean, my household was spending something like 20-30% more on food.
Yeah, actually,
that
is
the
same conversation I was having with my wife after shopping this weekend. I was like, we used to do such and such amount of shopping, but I feel like it has gone up by 8K.
Yeah. In
the past 2 weeks alone.
Yeah, I know what you feel.
I was like, oh my God, this thing is not sustainable. We need to find ways of saving, even if it's wholesale. Because I remember back then, and I think the more money I got, I become a bit lazy and comfortable. I used to go, because I'm also a good butcher, like I can break down a whole cow, a whole goat. I used to go to the slaughterhouse in Dagoretti. Yeah. I used to buy half a cow. Actually it was during the pandemic. Yeah. I bought a whole lamb, half a cow, and then we bought this huge freezer. Yeah. So I just,
these box fridges.
Yeah. Yes. I just sort of butchered it into nice pieces that you'll get in the supermarket at a premium. So in the supermarket you go now, they sell you per kilogram around 700 per kg. Some cuts to even to 1,000. Yeah. But you get half a cow, you get each and every cut, and that half a cow, they sold it to you, the entire cow, 250 per kilogram.
Incredible.
So I used to save a lot of money doing that. So, but on matters ingredients, because what I really shoot, it's as much as I plan my shoots, we shoot what we eat at home. It's not like I'm shooting content for show. Like what I shoot is what I'll eat, either me or the kids. So what I shoot is what I eat, and it's really not that expensive. Like there's a initial cost that yes, it's expensive, of course, to someone. Putting soy sauce, rice wine vinegar, fish sauce is expensive. It look expensive on the video, but because you'll go to the supermarket, you'll see fish sauce, a bottle, 450 shillings. But what you don't know is that bottle will last you up to 6 months. The bottle of soy sauce will stretch you up to 4 months. So it's all about investment. Of course, it's a bit pricey, but it's just the initial cost. After that, after you get the ingredients, it's all about now, it's the ingredients that will transform your normal day-to-day dishes into something special.
I like that you use the word investment, because many times people think about food just for, survival.
No.
But investing in your food is also an investment in yourself.
Exactly.
Right?
And investing in your food is investment in yourself. And for me now that cooking now and posting my videos, it's also investing in my craft.
Yeah.
So as much as I do simple dishes here and there, I want to be able that when I wake up today and I would say I want to make a beef Wellington, I wake up today, I want to make a stir fry. I don't want to be limited in my creativity because of my lack of ingredients and because of my not wanting to spend. Because, and I keep telling you, the more you spend, the more you'll get back in return. Because if you spend it as an investment.
Yeah.
Because, and how I save money now from that is I rarely eat out. The amount of money you spend eating out, I will tell you, it's 5 times more than the amount of money I spend buying the so-called expensive ingredients.
That's a good tip, especially for, even like young families where you can be lazy, you want to eat out and kind of save the hassle of being able to cook. But you segue very nicely into the question about profiting from your skill and your content, right? It's been a great journey for you.
It's been a long one.
Yeah, a long one, but a good one. I think a lot of people are invested in it because of how genuine everything seems.
Yeah.
But there'll be that person, and I've seen a few guys also, even down to using the word done in their videos, sort of starting out and also investing in this passion that they might have for cooking and stuff. But how do you turn that into something that gives you a revenue, perhaps on a regular basis?
How I started, it's a long journey. First of all, it started, the initial step was me joining social media.
Yeah.
When I opened my Twitter account, my Instagram account, I had no intentions of making money from it. For me, mainly because I joined it while I was still heavily invested in sports. I was doing a lot of sports. So for me, it was just to share my own story, my own narrative in regards to what I was doing in sports. Because back then, people used to depend, most of your narrative was just being told by the mainstream media. And mainstream media, they don't like positive news. The news that they will sell, the news that will sell is negative news about me.
Man bites dog.
Exactly, yeah. So I was like, okay, this is how I'm going to show my human side to people, and that's what I was doing. And of course, also advocating when I'm unhappy or uncomfortable with the situation, maybe that how the team is being run and stuff.
Yeah.
If I see no other avenue that can help us, I have a way that my input can bring about impact or change. But along the way, I still had that passion of cooking. So we used to have these cookouts, me and my friends. And then they told me, by the way, your food is good. Why don't you post recipes online? And so they were like, I was like, how do you do that? I was like, just open a blog. So I started off as a blogger. I had a blog that was, I used to call it Women Should Cook, not women, but we men should cook. Yeah, so I had it for like 2 years, but something inside me was just not, I didn't feel accomplished. I was like, over here I'm just sharing recipes and long stories. Oh, this food reminds me of my grandma, which is a lie. I was like, and that is not even how I learned how to cook. Because even up to today, people keep telling me to share with them recipes. I was like, I can't teach you how to cook through a recipe. I can show you how to cook, and then it's up for you to teach yourself how to cook. And unless it's pastry, which now that comes to, I would say it's philosophy, it's a science. But regular cooking, I can only show you how to cook. It's your passion for that will teach you how to cook. So I just let the blog die out. And then I started now sharing photos of what I've made on social media. And they were I won't say they were doing that. Actually, I was not even focused on how the photos were doing. I was just happy showing people I actually made this. I was not that much of a good cook. I just started cooking. Like the photos, sometimes I scroll down there. Some of them I sort of archived because they don't really reflect who I am as a chef now.
Yeah.
So I was just enjoying myself posting. Back then, even influencer marketing was not that at par. So like even making money off social media was not a thing. So I was still doing my sports while still now sharing the food online. And then the pandemic hit. So the pandemic hit, our contracts were terminated. So I had no source of income. And then I was like, I had a baby coming. I was like, what other talent do I have? I was like, okay, I can't cook. So I started now, people could hire me. If you have an event, maybe you just want me to come, maybe do a meal prep for you. You have a birthday at home, you need someone to cook. So I started that, and then I was like, what name should I call this business? And then it just hit me. I'm just roaming. I'm here in Naivasha, tomorrow I'm in Kitengela, tomorrow I'm in Kawangware. I'll call myself the roaming chef. So that's the genesis of the roaming chef.
Interesting.
And then the pandemic hit now.
Now properly.
Properly.
Yeah.
Now there's lockdown. People are not calling people to their houses. And now I start scratching my head again. Now what can I do? I was like, I'll still fall back to cooking. It's what I know best. I'll be making chili sauces and sell. Because I'm good at making sauces. I'll make them and sell. So I started cooking the chili sauces. Right now my son was born. He was about 1 or 2 months. I started cooking chili sauces inside the house. And the house was stinking. The fumes were all over. Everyone was coughing. The baby was coughing. It brought a rift between me and the wife. Yeah. She was like, you either find somewhere else to cook or you get the F out of here. Because the baby is suffering.
Yeah.
So I sat back again. And right now I was already now producing the sauces, and they were selling the like hotcake. They were selling like hotcake. I was like, now where can I move to sell this? The COVID is still out here. I don't want to be moving around. I also want to be around the baby most of the time. Yeah. I looked outside. I was like, we have a balcony. There's nothing there. And so I fallback plan again. What other passion do I have? I have a passion in woodwork. I'll make myself a kitchen outside there. So I went, spent a few days inside at the workshop. I made a table, bought a burner, put it outside, and then I was cooking sauces. And every time I was cooking the sauces, now I was just posting a few videos here and there, and people were saying, those balcony videos look nice, the views look nice. And then I was like, I might be onto something here. So now I started making now proper meals. Yeah. Proper meals, posting them on the internet. But then I had also another issue. I didn't know how to edit videos because I was just now used to just taking photos of videos and then posting. So I didn't know how to edit. What did I do again? Like anything, like the same thing as I do cooking, I learned from the internet. Woodwork, I learned from the internet. I was like, editing can't be that difficult. I just went back to the internet, started editing. So I was editing, but the videos were a bit long. But I think the more I edited, the more I developed my own kind of style of editing, which now is a bit unique. Yeah, so I learned how to edit, and then the video started blowing up. The video started blowing up. All of a sudden, brands started approaching me. Oh, we want to work with you, help us push this product. And then all of a sudden now I need to come up with a red card. And I'm like, life is coming at me too fast outside here, because when I left rugby playing sports, I didn't really live with much, I would say, life skills or social skills. I didn't know how to put down a proper email. How to come up with a red card, because brands come at you, we need a red card and stuff. I was not a good communicator. I was really shy. I didn't know how to communicate to people. I was just a proper machine. I was just built to deliver in the sports pitch. So I had lots of stuff to work on myself, on which I credit a lot of it to my loving partner. Of course, Jimani as well, my good friend. Yeah, Jimani helped me a lot. Helped me come up with my first red card, of which I think one video was 8,000. I'm looking at it nowadays. I just laugh at it. Yeah. So that's how I started making those videos. I started getting brands, and that's when now I started getting more and more followers. I was like, you guys, you didn't even like me this much, and I even represented you guys up to the Olympics. So to some extent, it was a bitter pill to swallow. Like in Kenya, sportsmen are not really that appreciated. Like we do appreciate celebrities, social celebrities, who people, I don't like using the words socialites. Yeah, so I was like, people love me more as a chef than they did love me as a sportsman. And as much as I've achieved a lot as a chef, including winning the TikTok Top Creator in Africa 2022, I still feel like my greatest achievements were when I was still representing Kenya in the international stage up to the Olympics. Yeah, so that, in summary, was sort of how I started.
That's an interesting journey. I'm trying to pick up a couple of things from it. So, number one, identify your talent, what you're good at. Right? Number two, invest in your skill.
You have to invest heavily.
Yeah.
You have to invest heavily.
Because you invested in the cooking, you invested in your environment where you did it, you invested in the editing.
Equipment.
Yeah, and in equipment as well.
And it's
right?
Actually, it's investing, but it's about using what you have at the moment.
Time. Okay, that's a good one.
Back then, I only had a mobile phone, and I think it's a habit I've never sort of dropped, because I just kept now upgrading my mobile phones. Up to today, I'm just shooting and editing on my mobile phone. So as much as I would like to, I even reached a point where I was now getting enough money. I was like, I'm going to buy a camera. So I bought a camera, but then now I found shooting, exporting, editing, there's framing, color grading. I was like, hey, the phone used to do all of this for me.
Yeah.
And the views don't change.
Yeah.
The quality is better, but the age at which we are in, especially on social media,
like the videos are so compressed that quality is really...
the videos are so compressed, and people's attention span, like my videos are not even longer than 1 minute 20. So it's all about, I'll just try and make my content, first of all, entertaining. I'll forget the quality. Just forget, once you're starting, forget about producing HD or 4K content. Focus on making them entertaining, because if they're entertaining, it will keep someone glued on the screen. And then informative. Entertaining and informative. If it's entertaining, they'll be glued on the screen. If it's informative, they will come back for more next time.
Okay.
So that's the mantra I've been using.
Another way of saying this is pay attention to your audience and what they want.
Pay attention to your audience. It's about what they want. It's not... Because we all have how we want our content to look like, but then there's how the audience want to consume the content. So pay attention to how they want to consume it.
True. As someone who's been in content creation for a long time, that's a very hard lesson to learn.
It's tough.
Because, you as a creator, you have your ideas and you're like, no, I want this long and that stuff. And you can invest a lot of time in something.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether you've ever experienced it.
No, I have. I experienced that when I bought an expensive camera to start shooting this stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, this video is so good. I've even put some slow-mo inside there.
Yeah.
And then I post it. And then the ones I did with an iPhone 8 are still doing better than these ones. I was like, okay, time to rethink my strategy again.
Yeah, and it's painful. It's painful. So, talent, invest in your brand. Okay, so we also spoke about use what you have, right? Listen to your audience. Develop social capital. That's an interesting one. We were talking. I was talking to Waithaka Katumia from Centonomy, and he also raised that as something that a lot more young people need to start to think about. Yeah. How do you invest in how to communicate with people professionally and interpersonally, right? So that's interesting that you pointed out that. Then, of course, there's your wife and G-Money being your support system.
Yeah.
Try and find a support system for what it is.
You have to have someone's shoulder to stand on. Like when I was in sports, most of my sporting career I was standing on Humphrey Kayange's shoulder. When I was teaching myself how to cook, I was really watching a lot of the Gordon Ramsay's video. Even the catchphrase "done," I think I sort of grabbed it from him.
Yeah.
So when I was learning teaching myself how to cook, I was standing on Gordon Ramsay's shoulder. When I was teaching myself social skills outside here, life skills, how to compose an email, how to come up with a red card, how to negotiate, and then one skill that was even up to today I'm still trying to master is negotiating. You know, these are the life skills that
negotiating your value.
Your value. So these have been standing on the shoulders of Jimani, my partner, and it's the journey to growth is it's not a destination.
Yeah.
It's a journey. You'll keep getting better and better every day, and the challenges will keep getting harder and harder every other day.
Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah.
Have you met him yet?
Not yet. That is my dream. It will be my dream come true.
You know, they say never meet your heroes. He looks like a very intimidating person like on video. But I saw, what's the name of this guy who says hi all the time on
Uncle Roger.
Uncle Roger. I saw him.
I saw him interacting. Even me, I saw that video.
Yeah. I'd wish that you have that sort of interaction with him as well.
I would love.
What for you will be the legacy of Dennis Ombachi? I know it's a journey, and I know it's a bit of a tough question to ask. But now you're getting on. You've got children. You know, you're thinking about the future. So what does the future look like for you, and what is it that you want to be remembered for?
The future for me is quite exciting. Especially after I got kids, my perspective kind of changed. It was not all about me. Because I used to be that guy. I was like, I'm living in the moment.
Yeah.
I don't care about tomorrow. I'm living in the moment. But now it's all about the legacy I leave. And I think for me, one thing, the dream I've always had is opening up a restaurant. And that's something that I don't know whether my kids will be into it, but it's something I would like to leave my kids for. And another legacy I would like to leave behind is being a champion in mental health, championing mental health, especially amongst athletes, and maybe as a spillover, the population in general. But mental health for me is something close in my heart because it's something I've had a battle with. I came out, I can't say I've won the battle because, again, mental health as well is not a destination.
It's a journey.
It's a journey. So a restaurant, a champion of mental health, and just trying to, and again, keeping the culture, our food culture alive. And I do love the environment. I do love nature. And maybe in future, once I'm sorry with everything, I'll just love to work with nature.
My final question was actually around mental health, right? So we've watched many of our audience members. You were on CNN recently talking about it as well. And your story is very well known. What for you in terms of mental health is what would you do, rather I should phrase it this way, to make the services that you will have access to now more accessible? What would your suggestion be? Because there's lots of people out here who are being called mad or possessed or who are having just general challenges day to day that they don't recognize as perhaps having a mental health issue. Disorder. What would your suggestions be?
I think the first and foremost is breaking the stigma. On matters these, we are getting there, but mainly in the urban areas. Once you leave the confines of the urban areas, we go outside in the villages, it's still not yet there. Like people with mental health disorders over there, they're being called mad. You'll say it's witchcraft, we are merogwa. So first of all is awareness. Awareness we still have a lot of work to do in awareness, and then breaking the stigma. After that is achieved, now I don't want to say making it accessible. They are there. The facilities are there. The issue is the cost. Like, I am lucky to have been able to, actually now I'm able to kind of afford it because treatment and therapy, it's expensive. I remember when, this was after my first suicide attempt, when I was admitted now in a psychiatric hospital for 2 weeks, and then my bill came close to 150,000 shillings, and I didn't have that money. But I'm blessed enough. I've had good close friends. I remember that time my friend Oscar Dennis. Now the mom paid for my bills.
Wow.
And that was only when I was admitted once, and I've been admitted more than 5 times in such kind of institutions. So making them like they are the cheap ones, is Madare, but when you look at the quality of the services you get, it's really not up to par. So it's about making the services affordable, because most people, like, I do get lots of messages, DMs, like, okay, how can we do this? I direct them to the right channels, but finances are lacking, and then there's only much I can do. So if we can create awareness, break the stigma, and make it affordable, and the government should be able to play a part, because at the end of the day, it's a condition like any other. It's just like diabetes. It's just like HIV. There should be there also should be programs behind it.
That's a good way to end this part of the interview. Dennis, thanks a lot. I mean, I've got lots more questions for you, but you have a busy day, and Tracy has been really intently following the discussion. I've been glancing now and again. Tracy, what did you get from this conversation that perhaps will stick with you?
Kwanza, you all had me at mandegere because my grandmother still makes those things for us.
Oh, really?
So I was like, yes. Yes.
Oh, how interesting.
Those things are healthy, and then when you go to these high-end restaurants, they sell them to you at a premium. And we used to just harvest them from the fence. They were just growing there everywhere.
Oh gosh, interesting. Mandegere. Tracy, you must make for us some here. Huh?
Say no more.
So what's the fact check today?
The fact check today, as I said earlier, it's coffins, food, and TikTok.
I like the way you've titled that. You should be doing our headline. It's grabbing me more than a number 7 will shock you. So what do coffins, food, and TikTok have in common?
Yes. So on Twitter and Facebook, these images, I don't know if you can see, let me just increase the brightness. So these images of someone grilling meat in a coffin was circulated.
Inside the coffin?
Yes, inside the coffin. The grill is inside it's inbuilt in the coffin. And someone even came up with a caption with like concrete facts, what they deem as facts, that you would actually be inclined to believe it. Like, it says the businessman imported the grill from China for 200,000. And what he talked about, investment. So he goes further to add that he has returned half of the money invested in it within a few days of its arrival.
Wait, and this is a fake story?
Calm down.
Hey,
we are getting there. So,
very interesting.
So now, looking at this picture, from a cultural lens or a religious lens, you wouldn't want to eat meat from a coffin grill. Now, we conducted a reverse image search on the images, and the image led us back to the Philippines. So the coffin grill exists.
Yes.
But it's not in Kenya, in Eldoret, as claimed in the viral
Oh, this
post.
was supposed to be a man from Eldoret.
Eldoret, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Kenyans won't even allow you to do this.
So it's from the Philippines. The man actually works in a mortuary. I think his name is Vincent.
Okay.
Yes.
Now that's really macabre. The guy works in a mortuary.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he says he made it not for commercial purposes, but for his own personal use. And he says he drew his inspiration to create that grill from the coffin dance meme. You remember the meme during COVID?
The Ghanaian.
Yes, those ones. So it's not from Kenya.
Yes.
It's actually from the Philippines.
Interesting where people draw their inspiration.
Yeah.
That must be from Twitter. Twitter is full of fake news.
Yeah.
Twitter or Facebook.
Twitter and Facebook.
Twitter and Facebook full of fake news. Like my mom keeps sending me this stuff in the family WhatsApp group. I'm like, Mom, surely. I can't even explain to you that this is fake because you won't believe it.
Man, I was sent something in the family WhatsApp group from a certain very popular guy, you know, Amerix, and it was just fake as hell. Like, you know, then I was like, yeah, you know, this is fake. But then the guys were like, yeah, but you know, he posts so much true stuff, and I was like, which true stuff? Yeah, which one? Let's not get into that discussion. Tracy, my dad joke meme is like, it's like calling out to me and saying that's like really rich content for a dad joke. You want to hear it? Food to die for.
It's a good one.
Yeah, food to die for.
Yeah, you should be my child. My daughter's constantly turning her back on me. So thank you so much. That's a really interesting fact check. Dennis, one last thing before we go. It's not a question. So we have a tradition here, as you see on the walls. And every guest who comes here, we try and leave them with a parting gift. And so Louis Alosa over here has been really intently following this discussion and looking at you, and has one of these for you. Yeah. So this is Mr. Dennis Ombachi as he appeared on the big picture. Yeah.
Nice.
Very good. How
Beautiful.
naturally he turned it to the camera. Yeah. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for being on the big picture. We're going to have this delivered to you at a later date, but for sure, we'll be very, very honored for us to need to have it on our wall over here.
No, I have to brag.
Kabisa. Yeah, show everybody, show the people. Yeah, thank you very much. And I have to say, this is the first episode that I can now say we are truly done. Ama Dennis, you say for us. The big picture.
I was on the big picture. Done.
Kabisa. Not much else to say, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next episode.
All these mad talents.